Hello and welcome to our monthly orientation training for OU Campus. My name is Barbara McQuillan and I'm a software trainer over here at Omni Update. In this session, we're going to overview some basic end user functionalities. During this presentation, I'll be working in a sandbox environment, but if you're an existing customer, you can follow along in your own instance as the platform functionalities will be the same. I'll be logged in as a level 8 user, so please be aware that depending upon your user level and individual user permissions, you may be restricted from some of the functionalities I'm going to be showing you today. During the presentation, all participants will be in listen-only mode as the session is being recorded. If you have any questions during the presentation, you may submit it by clicking on the Q&A section located at the bottom of your screen. Please note the Q&A section may not be available if you're viewing this webcast through the browser. You may need to install and view the webcast through the Zoom extension for access to the Q&A section. I will attempt to answer your questions as we go along, and there will be a Q&A section at the end of the presentation where I'll answer as many remaining questions as time allows. If I don't get a chance to answer your question during the webcast, I will email you with an answer afterwards. So with that, let's go ahead and begin. So we'll start by talking about what we're going to be talking about today. We'll begin by talking about how it is that you actually log into OU Campus. We'll do an overview of the interface itself, talk about what you're seeing once you're logged in. We'll talk about some basic page editing. We'll talk about creating new content, uploading content like images, documents, and things like that. And then finally, at the end, we'll do a Q&A section. So let's go ahead and just jump directly into our instance. So I'm currently looking at a sandbox environment. So all the way down at the bottom, when you log into OU Campus, one of the wonderful things about it is you're not logging in through a main login screen. You're actually navigating on the live website to the page you want to edit, and you're logging in from there. So on my sandbox, inside the footer, my last updated date, that's my link in order to log in. We call this a direct edit link. Depending upon how your implementation or design is going to be set up, it may use a last updated date, like mine does here. I've seen some schools who use the copyright symbol. I've seen some schools who use some sort of decoration that's in their footer. I've seen some that even have like an invisible box in the corner. So there's no visual cue at all, but your editors know it's there. And this is available on every page. So let's say, for example, hovering over academics, maybe I'm the library. I'm responsible for this library page. And I'm taking a look at it and I realize, ooh, there's a typo on this page. So the first thing I'll do is scroll down to the bottom and click that direct edit link. This will send me over to my login screen. Depending upon how your institution is set up, you may see a screen like mine where you're logging in into OU Campus. Your schools might also have a single sign-on setup where you're signing in through your regular single sign-on, and then it'll just drop you off inside OU Campus. I'm going to go ahead and log in as that level 8 person. So keep in mind, if your user level is different than mine, you may see more or less buttons or have more or less abilities. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. So notice as I've logged in, I'm still on that library page. I'm in the same page that I was looking at on the live site. That's the benefit of using the direct edit link. I didn't need to navigate through the system. I'm already here. So an overview of what we're just looking at here, this big blue bar across the top here, that's my global navigation bar. It allows me to get around the platform. Directly underneath that, this is going to be my breadcrumb. Over on the right-hand side, notice I have the word Galena here. That's the name of my fake university. This is the site that I'm currently inside. So if your institution has multiple sites as part of their account, this over here is actually going to be a drop-down. It'll let you toggle between the different sites that you're responsible for. Over on the left, this is my breadcrumb that tells me where I am inside OU Campus. So I can see right now I'm inside the content, inside my pages section. I'm inside a folder called academics, and I've landed on this page called library.pcf. So I'm already about 4 levels deep in the system just by using that direct edit link. Directly underneath that, I have a bunch of buttons here. This is my page actions toolbar. all the way on the left, my preview button is essentially just giving me a rendering of what this page will look like when it is published out. So it looks really similar to what we were just looking at before. My edit button, very similar view, but you'll notice I have these big green buttons on the page now. These are my editable regions. These are sections on the page where I can edit content inside an editor that kind of looks like a word processor. My particular user has access to source code. You may or may not have that button, but it would allow me to do edits for the page content in source code. And then properties we'll come back to in just a minute. There are a couple of additional things in there that we'll talk about. What I want to point out to you first here, the first button we'll actually click, is this light bulb icon. This is part of our check-in, check-out system. It's a safety precaution inside OU Campus to make sure that you are the only one who's editing the page so that you don't accidentally have multiple people making changes to it and someone doesn't accidentally publish it out and you accidentally published out someone else's work that's not really ready yet. If the light bulb is turned off, it means the page is available inside the system. If I click this button, notice the light bulb turns on, and notice I get a whole bunch of additional buttons now. It's because this page is now checked out to me. I have ownership of this page. I can do more things with it. Clicking the little light bulb again checks it back into the system, makes it available to anybody. So, great thing about OU Campus is anytime I put myself into a situation where I could be making edits, the page will automatically check out to me. So like this big green button here for my main content, clicking on that will open up this editable region and watch what happens on the light bulb. Light bulb automatically turns on, the page is automatically checked out to me. So when I open up this region, you're going to see I get a toolbar across the top. All of these buttons, as I kind of hover over them, give me a little title, gives me an idea of what that button is intended to do. This type of editor is called Just Edit. It is a Wysiwyg editor. The word Wysiwyg stands for what you see is what you get. So the adjustments and changes that I make inside this editor are going to have the appearance that they'll have on my live site. So I don't have to kind of guess about, did that fit there? Is that picture big enough? Are things aligned appropriately? I'll be able to see it. Good, good, good. So let's talk about making some basic edits. So maybe up here at the top, before this first paragraph, I want to put in a heading. So I'm just going to place my cursor before it, click enter so I have a little bit more space. Maybe I'll call this Barbara's Library. It's now mine, haha. But I want to make this text a little bit bigger. I'm going to click and hold and highlight. And I have a drop down here that currently says paragraph. I'm going to switch that over maybe to an H2. And I'll see it get that larger H2 stylizing. Perfect. So I can go ahead and add in that information. I can easily make some formatting changes here too. And you're going to notice inside this editor, you're going to be able to use both keyboard shortcuts as well as the icons and buttons. So I have a question in here that says, if a user edits something they shouldn't in source code, can that be reset? There is the ability to revert. So I'll show you where that is in just a minute. So at any point in time, changes that are made inside either this editor here or inside the source code, you can always roll back to the last version. So hold on to that for just a moment. I'll show you where that is. All right, so basic stylizing changes. Maybe I want to bold and underline and italicize things. Well, I do have these icons up here, bold, italicize, and underline. But the keyboard shortcuts that you're comfortable with outside of OU Campus work here too. So bold is either Control or Command B, italics, Control or Command I, and underline, Control or Command U. Deleting things just as easy. Maybe we're no longer offering that online catalog. So I'll just go ahead and take that whole sentence out, end with the period. All right, so we've made a couple of edits, nothing too big yet, but just a little bits here and there. In the upper left-hand corner, I have a little floppy disk icon. That's my save and exit. We'll go ahead and click on that. And I can see the adjustments that I've made rendered here already. That's the magic of my Wysiwyg. What I saw is what I got. All right, another question. Can it be set so someone can check in a page for another person? If the person checks out the page and goes on vacation, it would be locked for that entire period. So it's a good question. Your lower level users, levels 8 and below, do not have the ability to force a page back into the system unless it's theirs. So if this page was checked out to someone else, instead of seeing the light bulb, I'd see a little padlock symbol. Your administrators are able to force check in pages. So essentially they'd see the padlock, they could click on the padlock right here, and you get a little pop-up that says, are you sure you want to force check this back in? If you say yes, it'll go back into the system available to anyone. A quick kind of keep in the back of your mind on that. If you force check a page back in, and let's say you'd already made these adjustments that we made here at Barber's Library. I've already made the changes. I've already saved it. It's already in here. Those changes will stay on the page. If I was inside the editable region actively editing right now, an administrator force checked it back in for me, anything that I've changed here would get lost. So a good rule of thumb as an administrator, if you're about to force check a page back in, just touch base with that user, ask them if they're still using that page. If they're not, it should be safe to be able to check it back in. All right, so the edits that I've made on this page right now live inside OU Campus. They are not out on the live site yet. Excuse me. So if I open up a new tab and I just go back to my sandbox site, we'll look at that library page again on the live site. Notice none of the changes are there yet. This is one of the features of OU Campus that has to do with how it's set up. It's called a decoupled system. It is separated out from your live site. So everything inside OU Campus, this whole environment is called the staging server. This is where you get to make adjustments and changes, test out different things, make sure it looks perfect. And it's only after you've made all of those changes, you agree it all looks good, and it's been published out, that's when it gets pushed out to the live site. There are a couple of different benefits for this. It means that what you're testing out here, you can genuinely test. You can take a look and see, you can ask other people their opinion, throw it back at marketing, make sure it meets all the branding requirements before it actually hits live site. It also means that if right at the end of the summer, the beginning of the fall, and you have 100 different people inside OU Campus all trying to update their pages at the same time, you won't see any lag on the live site. It's separated out. So it is separated out, which means you may find yourself inside OU Campus trying to figure out, well, how does this compare to what's live out there? And there are a couple of different ways that you can see it. As long as the page is checked out to me, inside the Page Actions toolbar, I have this option called Versions. Clicking on it, I'm going to see a history of every version of this page. A version is automatically created whenever the page is published out. So I can see that Brandon, who did July's monthly orientation, made some adjustments here. I can see before that, that was me again back in June. So I can see a history of what's going on here. The question before, what happens if someone's made some adjustments or changes and I want to get rid of them? I can roll back. So right now, this green bar right here, that's the one that's live on my production server. Whenever I hover over any of the bars, hovering over View, if I click Page, it'll just bring up the page for me on the live site. So I can easily just kind of eyeball it and see it. But I can also hover over Compare and compare the page to this live version. And I'll see some colorations here. Anything that's in green, those are things that have been added inside OU Campus. Anything that's red with the strike through has been removed from OU Campus. And anything that's blue is in both versions, but inside OU Campus, the formatting has somehow changed. So in this example, the bold, underline, italicizing, that's different formatting. So if I decided all of these changes that happened, this is not what I wanted, I'm not even really sure what you broke or what you did, I just want to roll it back. Back to versions. hovering over this last version, I can click revert. It is going to revert the file. So all of those saves that only live inside OU Campus right now, I'm going to get rid of them. Revert. Now clicking back to edit, my Barbara's library is gone. All of that extra formatting is gone. So that is a quick and easy way to be able to roll back to previous versions, just to be able to kind of undo or go back to a previous version. All right, opening up that main content editable region again. I'm sure we're going to be doing more than just bolding and highlighting things. So oftentimes I see editors are going to be, say, adding images into the system, or they're going to be adding links. So those are two big things I want to show you how to do inside OU Campus. Scrolling down a little bit, I have this image for the building over on the right-hand side. Maybe I want to do something similar over here on the left. So I want to put another picture here and have the text kind of fill in on the left-hand side. So to do that, I'll place my cursor to the left of the first word inside this paragraph. And then there are a couple of different ways that I can get to this insert image option. In my toolbar, I have a little icon that kind of looks like a set of mountains with a sun in the background. Hovering over it, it'll tell me this is my insert/edit image button. Clicking on that gives me this pop-up. I can also just right-click where my cursor is, and again, I get the option for insert/edit image. Brings me to the same pop-up. All right, so the very top source is just asking me which picture do you want. I have a browse button over on the right-hand side for images that live inside OU Campus. And you're going to notice here, I see my listing of images, and up here at the top, I have this breadcrumb again. So by clicking on that button, I am automatically going to be in the site that is Galena, inside a folder called _resources, inside another folder called images, inside another folder called campus. So I've avoided having to go through, at this point, 5 different levels of navigating. This default location can be set by administrators. So you as an administrator can say inside the marketing department, drop them off at this images folder. And if you're inside the academics department pages, drop them off at this folder instead. So you can keep it nice and separated out so everybody has their own locations. From my list down here, clicking on any of these guys, I'll see a little preview on the right-hand side. So let's see. Oh, that's a nice picture. Maybe we'll grab that one. Bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to click Insert. And you're going to notice I get this weirdo kind of tag information in the field here. This is a dependency tag. Inside OU Campus, every piece of content, so every image, every page, every document, every PDF, everything, is going to be tracked by something we call Dependency Manager. It manages the relationships between your different pieces of content to make sure you don't accidentally break links or have broken images on your pages. So let me give you an example of how this works. Let's say your home page has this big, beautiful banner image, and it took forever to be able to get the perfect image at the perfect resolution, but you finally got it and it looks great. And then from on high, everybody's been told the way you named your images has to change. It has to be like the department dash the image name. So you go through, you rename all your images. If Dependency Manager wasn't working for you, if it wasn't managing your content for you, you've now renamed your image, the home page doesn't know where to find it anymore, and you have a big broken image on your home page. Super awkward. With Dependency Manager working inside OU Campus, when you go to rename that image, the system will say, hey, this picture is being used on your home page. If you'd like to rename this, just be aware that home page is going to get republished. And it will republish the home page for you to make sure that link stays live. So you never get a broken image on your home page. That's the point of these tags. They maintain those relationships in the background so you don't have to memorize every place you put a picture. Directly underneath this field, I'm going to still see the path to the image, so I can still confirm, yep, that's the picture that I wanted. So you may have editors out there who get to this point and say, okay, I'm done. And you just try to hit the OK button. You're going to get an error that says a description is required. This is for accessibility purposes. So as I put in a description here, it's going to be used as the alt text on the image itself. And make sure that screen readers have something to read out when it comes across the image. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this West Campus Building. The tooltip field is kind of like what we're seeing over here as we hover over the different icons in our toolbar. It's just a little pop-up of text that gives us some additional information. It's not required, but I do like to use it. And honestly, I usually use the same thing as my description. So clicking, holding, and highlighting this content here, my keyboard shortcuts work. So Controller Command C to copy. And then in the tooltip field, Controller Command V to paste. All right, my next field down is dimensions. This is telling me the size of that image in pixels. I'm going to tell you 1299, it's kind of big. I probably want to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to make it smaller here. Maybe I'll make it 500. As long as I have constrained proportions turned on, as soon as I click out of this box, the other one will maintain the exact same aspect ratio. So I don't have to do any weirdo calculations, it'll do it for me. Down at the bottom, my last two fields here, class and ID. Those are used depending upon the design for each school. So some schools have special classes that should be applied to images, or there's a specific ID that has to be applied to the image node itself. My sandbox doesn't have anything all that special, so I'm not going to use either of those fields today. So up to this point, I've picked out the image I wanted, but remember, I want to have it on the left-hand side with the text filling in on the right. So in order to set that up, I'm going to go to the Appearance tab. Under my Appearance tab, I have an Alignment drop-down, and I have a little bit of a preview on the right-hand side with a little picture of the tulip. So as I make adjustments here, I'll see the tulip picture update, so I get an idea of what changes and adjustments I'm making. So for alignment, I want it to be aligned to the left, which will mean my text will fill in on the right-hand side. So I like the fact that it's filling in, but I feel like it's kind of squished. It's a little close. I think I want to put a little bit of space in between those. So in my field here for horizontal space, inside that field, I'm just going to type the number 10. This will give me 10 pixels of spacing on either side of my image. Clicking anywhere else inside this pop-up will update my preview. So I can now see I have some nice spacing on the right. I'm also getting the spacing on the left. I don't know if I really need that. I think I'm okay with it being left justified. So down here at the bottom, notice I have one more field called Style. This field, for those of you who are CSS type people, are your CSS rules that are going to be the inline styling on the image. So if there's something special or unique that you want to do with the image, you can add it here. This is an editable field. So if I want to take this left side 10 pixels out, I'm just going to take this entire margin left rule and just delete it out. Again, click anywhere else inside the box to update the preview. So I can see I'm now left justified, and I have a little bit of that spacing on the right. Perfect. Bottom right-hand corner, I'll click OK. All right, so my image is coming in. We did resize it down, but I feel like it's still kind of big here. So a couple of different ways I can continue to resize it. Clicking on the image itself, notice that that insert/edit image icon gets a little bit of a highlighting. I can open it up and make adjustments to all of those fields I just made. So if I knew exactly what size I wanted it to be right here in dimensions, I could enter it. But I also want you to notice when I have this image highlighted, I get the little bumpers on it. I can just shrinky-dink it down right here to be the size that I want it to be. Nice and simple. All right, so that pretty much walks us through how you go ahead and insert an image. I'll continue to scroll down a little bit. As you can see here, I do already have a link on the page. So let's talk about how you would add links into pages. So I'm going to place my cursor at the end of this sentence and just hit enter. And this will be our example links. So maybe I want to create a bulleted list. I'll create my little bullets, and I'll be able to add information in here. So when I'm linking to pages that are managed inside OU Campus, so they're part of my website, or I'm linking to pages that are outside of my website, or I'm linking to documents, PDFs, PowerPoints, Excel spreadsheets, the process is generally the same the whole way through. So let's say I wanted to put a link on here that linked you to the athletics page as part of my website. So for more information about athletics, visit our athletics page. And I want these last two words to be the link itself. So I'm going to click and hold and highlight that text. And again, two different ways to be able to add that link. I have an icon that looks like a little chain link fence. That's my insert/edit link icon. I can also right click on my highlighted text. And again, I get insert/edit link. Either way, it'll bring me to this exact same pop-up. URL is asking me where I should be directing with this link. And since I'm going to be going to another page inside my website that's managed in OU Campus, I can click the little browse button right here. So I'm initially dropped off in the exact same level I'm at right now. So here's the library page we're looking at right now. I'm inside the academics folder right here. So to get to the athletics folder, I'm going to need to take one step backwards, one step out closer to the root of my site. And I'll do that up in this breadcrumb by clicking on the next link over. So now I'm one level higher. I see this little house icon at the top. This tells me I'm at the root of my site. And from here, there's my athletics folder. I can click on that to open it up. And I probably want to just drop them off at the index page here. That'll be the landing page for this section. Yep, perfect. Bottom right-hand corner, we'll click Insert. Again, I'm going to see that dependency tag. But again, directly underneath it, I'm going to see the file path. So I'll be able to confirm, yes, that's where I want it to link to. The text to display, these are going to be the actual words on the page that are the link. So that's my athletics page. Maybe I want this to say athletics index page. I can go ahead and edit it here. My title is very similar to the tooltip for an image. So if I hover over something and it gives me that little pop-up, that's what a title is for a link. I like to add in a description for the link, just that way people understand if you click this, this is where you're about to go. Target has to do with how you want this link to open, and you have a couple of options. A target of none means open this link in the exact same tab, the exact same window. This is a good option if I'm just navigating around my own website, because I know I stay on the website, I'm just looking for a particular page. If I was linking to an outside website page, if I was linking to a PDF document or a PowerPoint or something like that, I don't want to lose the tab that has the school website in it. I want that to stay around. So in that case, I would choose New Window. Depending on the browser the person is in, it'll either open in a new window or a new tab, but I'll be able to keep that original tab that has the school website in it. Since this is just another page that's managed inside OU Campus and part of my website, I'll just set the target to none. And then again, just like images, sometimes particular designs have classes that you can apply to links. So I've seen classes used to turn just regular text links into buttons or call to action or things like that. So my sandbox doesn't have anything like that, so I'll leave that class blank for now. Bottom right-hand corner, I'll go ahead and hit OK. And now I have an active link here. There's my title popping up. Now, if I click on it here, notice it doesn't actually bring me anywhere. It's because I'm still inside this editable region. If I place my cursor inside this link, it allows me to open up that insert/edit link again to be able to make edits to it. All right, So that links to another page that's already inside OU Campus. Let's talk about linking to an external page. So I'll select the text that I want to be the link. I can click on the icon or right click and click Insert Edit Link. Either way will bring me to the same place. So if I'm linking to something that's outside of OU Campus, I'm going to put in the actual URL. So maybe this is for financial aid and I want to send people to fafsa.gov. My text to display, that's not super descriptive. Maybe I'll change this. Click here, more information about FAFSA. My title, just going to give me a bit more information about where I'm about to go. And now, since this will take me off of my website, I am going to switch the target to new window. So that way I keep my school's website in that first original tab. Now, when I click the OK button, I'm going to get a pop-up message. It's going to tell me that the URL I entered looks like a web URL. When I add in links to OU Campus that are external like this, they do need to be fully qualified, meaning it needs the HTTP or the HTTPS at the end, or sorry, at the beginning. That's okay if you forget to do it though, because the system will keep an eye on it for you. So it tells me this looks like a web URL. Do you want us to just put the HTTP at the beginning? And I'm going to say, why, yes, thank you very much. I appreciate you doing all of the work. Beautiful. All right. There is one other type of link that you can add in here, and that's a mail to link. So maybe I want to put in something like, for more information about training, contact me. And I want my name to be that mail to link where you click on it and it'll open up your preferred mail service and have the email set up for you. So I'll highlight my name. This one is going to use a slightly different icon, this little envelope. That's my mail to link. So it asks me for the email address that will be the recipient. That's me. And then subject here is going to be the default subject message for the email. Again, I have the option for a class. So if your design has any particular classes that are associated with mail to links, you could have those here. Okay, perfect. So now I have my 3 different types of links. I'm all set up here. Beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Exit so I can watch everything update, render, and change. And now I have a very nice preview of what my page looks like. So those are really your basic editing processes. There are a couple of additional things that are unique inside OU Campus. Let me open up that main content editable region again. And we're going to talk about those unique things. And they have to do with reusable content. OU Campus has 2 different types of reusable content that you can take advantage of. The first is called an asset, and the second is called a snippet. An asset is a piece of content that is shared across multiple pages. It cannot be edited on the page itself, but it's instead controlled centrally. So if you need to update it in the future, you change it in one place and that change sprinkles out everywhere. So let me give you a good example of where this might come in really handy. Let's say you have a tuition number for fall of 2018. And that number is going to be all over the website. So financial aid page, admissions page, international programs page, it's going to be everywhere. Come fall of 2019, if that tuition number changes, it's kind of important that you have the same number all across your whole website. So rather than memorizing every place you put it and having to track it down in each one of those places, you could use an asset. You're going to make it once inside an area we call the Asset Manager. And then you can place that asset everywhere you want. Come fall of 2019, you only need to change it in the Asset Manager. And that one change will sprinkle out to every page. So assets inside OU Campus are inserted very similar to the way we inserted an image. The icon for an asset is this set of arrows moving in a square. When I click on it, I'm going to get a listing of all of the different assets that are available to me. We have 5 different types of assets. Web content, plain text, and source code. Those guys are available with any base implementation. And then with live delivery platform, that'll also include your image galleries and your forms. So lots of different options for filtering across the top. So if I know, for example, that I'm looking for a source code asset, I can filter from that. And then from here, I can filter by name. So maybe I'm looking for our Twitter feed. There it is. When I click on it, I'm going to see a little preview on the right-hand side. Yeah, this is actually source code. No, I don't need to do anything with it. It's already been built out. It's already been done. It's not a problem. On the page, it's going to give me this really nice listing of all the Twitter feeds for my site. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it on the page. Bottom right-hand corner, I'll click Insert. And you're going to look at that and say, that is not a very nice Twitter feed. That looks like a green box. And you are absolutely right. It starts as a green hashed box, and if I click off of it, it turns into a gray hashed box. Inside the editable region, when I place an asset, I get this hashed box, and it is an acknowledgement. It says, yes, you've placed your asset here, but no, you cannot edit it here. It's controlled centrally in the Asset Manager. I can still see it render, though, by hitting Save and Exit. And I'll be able to see that source code in action, pulling all of our Twitter feed listing here. Not too bad. All right, back up to the top. Let's open up that editable region again. Now let's talk about snippets. Snippets are a second type of reusable content. Their application is a little bit different than what we were talking about for assets. So a snippet allows you to have consistent stylizing, but it allows you to have different content on each page. So let's take, for example, maybe your marketing department is running a big campaign, and on every single page on your site, they want to have a quote from the alumni. They don't want the same quote on every page. That would be super boring. They want a different quote on every page, but they want each quote to be stylized the same. So like the big swooshy quotes with the background coloration and the text is this big with this italics and this going on and all sorts of really specific things. Well, in order to make sure that the stylizing is consistent across the board, you could use a snippet. The icon for a snippet is a little puzzle piece. And you're going to notice when I open up this option, again, I have some filtering options at the top. I'm going to call out to you guys the categories. Different snippets will be intended to be used on different page types. So you may have snippets that are creating complex design elements that are designed specifically for your home page. They're designed just for the home page. So they'll probably be in a category called homepage. And I'll make sure that your editors are aware this shouldn't go all over the place. This one's special. It's only supposed to be on the home page. So the exact categories that your design will use will be very dependent upon how your design is set up. But keep an eye on those. That's going to be a good thing to let you know which type of snippet is available to be used on different page types. In my sandbox, my generic category are the ones that I can use on any of my generic interior pages. So up here at the top, I'm going to go ahead and choose accordion, and I'm going to hit insert. And you're going to notice inside this editable region, it looks like a table. We do that on purpose. This type of snippet is called a table transformation. When I save and exit, and I scroll all the way down, here's my accordion. Now, in order to get the accordion to open and close like this, there's some very specific HTML structures that have to be maintained. It has to be this type of node inside this type of node with this type of class. And if I had access to all of that source code, it's possible I could accidentally delete something out and break it. To avoid that happening, inside this editable region, you get a table instead. So each piece of content that I can adjust is represented by a table cell. So over here, I could change this to say Barbara's heading. And I could change this to say, whoop, not over there, back up here. This is the content that Barbara made. Save and exit. And now I'll see my accordion essentially takes the content that I placed inside those table cells, picks it up, and in the background, it puts it in the right place inside that HTML. So I've seen some super amazing, really impressive, very complex renderings on some of the new designs that have come through. Table transformations are a great way to make sure you have control over what content is going to be placed there, but you don't accidentally break stuff. Back up to the top, we'll open up that main content editable region again. Notice every time I'm saving it, I'm hitting this button that says save and exit, which causes it to close out the editable region, and then I need to scroll all the way back up to open it. Remember, your keyboard shortcuts still work. So as I'm doing work in here, you know you're going to want to regularly save it, make sure you don't lose anything. You can use your keyboard shortcut of Control-S. You'll see your status bar across the bottom will tell you is that the page has now been saved. So I can save as I go without having to close out the editable region. Back up here next to the save and exit, I have exit without saving. So if I was making a couple of adjustments and tweaks and then realized, ooh, no, I don't want any of that, I can exit without saving, and it just won't hold on to any of the changes I made in this session. And then I also have this little life preserver icon. It is a life preserver. In the event that I should suddenly lose my connection with OU Campus. So my internet dropped out, I accidentally kicked the plug on my computer and unplugged it for whatever reason. And I had edits inside this editable region that I hadn't saved yet. That is okay. I would come back inside OU Campus after I turned the computer on and logged everything back in. Open the editable region again and click Restore Last Draft. That last draft will be held for about 20 minutes. So you have that time to be able to get in and get it all back. Perfect. So we've gone ahead and made a bunch of changes, adjustments. We've added some snippets and assets. Everything's looking good. Now I'm ready to push it out to my live site. Up here at the top, you're going to notice I have a publish button. Depending upon how your school is set up, you may see publish. You may instead see a green button that says submit. If you see the submit button, it means you're involved in a workflow. It is an approval process. So you would take your page, submit it to someone else. They would look over it, make the approver, and then publish it out. In my sandbox, I do have the ability to publish. So right from here, I can hit publish. And when I do, notice I get these page check icons. These are ways for me to check the page before I publish it out, just to make sure all of the pieces look good. As an administrator, you can set it up so that way these checks run automatically. As an administrator, you can also set it up so that way if specific checks don't pass, the page cannot be published. I have a question here that says on my sandbox, when I try to add an accordion, I get a blank paragraph. Is that an issue in my sandbox? That's an excellent question. I would need to take a look at it. So I'm going to record your information. And I will take a look after our session today and reach back out to you to let you know what's going on there. All right, so looking at our different page checks here, my spell check is going to give me a listing of spelling issues. I'm going to see some of them are going to kick up. So like this one up here, FAFSA, I know that is an appropriately spelled word. My user here has the ability to add to the dictionary. It is not something that has to be given to every user. Add to dictionary is an ability you can give to individuals as you go. So if this word looks like something that should be added, I could go ahead and click add to dictionary. No, that's actually a misspell. So this is a good opportunity for me to go back and just spell that correctly. My links page, or my links check, is going to show me my listing of links across the whole page. So this is going to include headers, footers, everything all the way across. And what I want to focus on is my production tab, because these are going to be whether or not your live page can access these. Scrolling down, I can see most of them look fine. The only one that's kicking out a warning here is my FAFSA.gov. And it looks like it's giving me a found with a 302. So that's a redirect. So what probably happened here is FAFSA is now located at HTTPS, but they still have a redirect at HTTP. So the page still works, the link still works, it's just not going directly to it, it's going to the redirect. That's fine. I'll go ahead and close it. My last two here, my W3c Validations, this is checking to make sure that the code on the page is following the HTML5 schema. Oftentimes, this is going to be errors that are in the source code itself. Accessibility is going to look for accessibility check issues. Known problems are going to be things that are specifically in the code itself. So it'll be stuff that the system can look at and recognize and know, yep, this is a problem. A good example of that is the different headers. So for accessibility purposes, you should really only have one H1 on your page. It should be followed by an H2, which is then followed by an H3, and it shouldn't be jumping around. If you had multiple H1s on a page, or if you had an H2 and then an H3 and then an H6 and then an H4, and it kind of went back and forth, those are hard-coded into the page. The system knows that's an issue, so you'd see it listed here under known problems. Potential problems are a little bit different. Potential problems are the kinds of things that require a human to look at. It's stuff that the system is flagging as maybe, but a person needs to check and find out. So taking at this particular problem here, it tells me my link text may not be meaningful. So looking at the code on the page that's causing this error, I can see that it is a link that is on the image that is my logo. So yeah, there's no link text in there. That is absolutely accurate. It's a picture instead, but it's being used as my logo. And I can see that my image does have alt text on it, so that's good. So this is okay. This is not something that I need to worry about. But the system couldn't be sure, which is why it's just suggesting it here. All right, so after I've gone through all of my different results, I do have this option here to add a version description. I'm going to highly recommend that you use version descriptions. Every single time you publish the page, it will automatically create a version, which will mean after a year or so, you may have hundreds of different versions of individual pages. You are not going to remember the difference between version number 87 and 88. Using a version description allows you to describe what's been changed on this one. So when you look back across all of your different versions, you can kind of keep track of what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and say changes made for September monthly orientation. Bottom right-hand corner, publish. My status bar across the bottom will update as soon as the publish has gone through. And notice in that status bar, I do have a link. The link will bring me to the live page, so I can see it and kind of reinforce, yep, it's here. There's my picture, my different links. Here's my Twitter feed. And down at the bottom, I have my accordion. All right, so everything that I expected to be changed here and adjusted and edited is. Back to the tab that had OU Campus. Notice that the page is checked back in. That is the only way a page will automatically check back into the system. When you publish a page, theoretically you're done with it. You've made all your changes that you need. It is now back in the system available to everyone. If I had the page checked out to me and I was making edits and changes, it will not automatically check back in when I log out. It's because there may be pages that you have to come back to multiple times, multiple days in order to finish getting the updates done. We don't want to take that away from you because you may still actually be using it. But there's a little bit of something you just need to keep an eye on for that. So if I accidentally checked out this page, maybe I didn't mean to, but I wanted to see, ooh, there's this little side region here. What's that do? Oh, it's just this little guy over here. Okay, fine. I didn't actually mean to do any edits, but because I opened up an editable region, the page checked out to me, which means it's locked to everybody else. So If I'm not keeping an eye on it, I could end up with a whole bunch of pages checked out to me without realizing it. There are gadgets inside OU Campus. They're just little helpers that are designed to make your editing experience or your administrative experience easier. They take information that's spread across the entire platform and just bring it to your fingertips. Your gadget sidebar can be accessed by clicking on this little plug icon over on the right-hand side. You're going to see I have a whole bunch of gadgets here. So if you just opened your gadget sidebar and this is the first time you've logged in, it's a good chance you won't see as many as I do. That's because you can make visible or hide gadgets as you see fit. Maybe I don't use some of these, I can just hide them. In order to control what's seen and what's not, up at the top, I have this little gear next to the word gadgets. Clicking on that is going to give me a listing of all the gadgets that are available to me, and I can turn them all on here. So at this very top row, I have a checkbox in the actual title column. I can click it once to turn everything off and click it again to turn everything on. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, I'll hit save. So if you weren't seeing all of your available gadgets, you should be seeing them now. Gadgets are contextual, which means depending upon which page I'm looking at or which view I have, the number of gadgets that I see may change. So right now, I see a handful of gadgets. If I open up an editable region, watch what happens to the number of gadgets I have. I suddenly see more. It's because there are now more that are available to me because I can use them inside editable regions. If I close the region, I don't see as many gadgets. So if you're looking for a particular gadget and you have it set to view, but you're not seeing it, there's a good chance you're just not in a place that can be used. So what I wanted to point out to you guys has to do with this checked out page. You have a gadget here called My Checked Out Content. If your gadgets are organized in a strange order, you can click, grab, and drag to shift them around as you see fit. I like to take the gadget that I'm looking at right now and just drag it up to the top. Just makes it a little bit easier for me to see. So opening up My Checked Out Content, it is going to give me a listing of every piece of content that I have checked out to myself. It'll give me the list here, so I can easily see which pages I have possession of. This little path here is actually a link. So if I'm somewhere else inside OU Campus and I'm looking at My Checked Out Content and I'm thinking, what was that page? I don't really remember what this is. I could click on the link and it'll bring me to that page so I can look at it. Right from here, I can take a look at it and say, oh, the library page? No, I'm done with that. I don't need that anymore. And I can click the light bulb right here and watch what happens to the page. It checks itself back in. For me personally, every single time I log into OU Campus, the last thing I do before I log out is check My Checked Out Content. It gives me one last view to make sure I don't accidentally have things that I should not or do not need. Perfect. We'll go ahead and shrinky dink that down. All right. So talking about editing the page, we have this big main content region. We saw we have a cute little region over here. That's just based upon my design. Your school's final design may have more regions, may have less. All depends how the design was set up. But you are going to notice there are going to be some things here that you cannot edit using one of those buttons. Things like the page heading. Can't edit that using a button. My side navigation. My header up here at the top. And my footer down here at the bottom. Each of those is going to be edited in a slightly different location. To edit the page heading, I need to go into my properties list. So I'll need the page to be checked out to me to see what I'm looking for. When I click properties, I'll have this option called parameters. If the page is not checked out to me, I don't even see parameters as an option. It has to be checked out for parameters to be visible. From here, I can make some adjustments to the page itself. So I have some metadata information. So if I needed to change the meta title or meta description, tags are a way to tag content inside OU Campus. It allows me to search for it easier later. And then right here, here's my page heading. Maybe I want to switch this so it says Barbara's Library. Bottom right-hand corner, save. Now notice I've been able to change the page heading. So my page parameters are excellent. Personally, I like being able to see the page while I'm making adjustments to those parameters though. So rather than navigating into properties, I like to use a gadget. I'm going to open up that sidebar again. I'll go ahead and shrink down my page or my checked out content. I'm going to grab page parameters and drag it to the top. And I'll open it up here. And you're going to notice it's the exact same fields we just saw. My meta title, meta description, there's my tags. There's the heading that we just changed. And for my design, I'm going to see some unique things that I can control on my page. I have the ability to turn on an image slider region. So I'll switch this to on and hit save. And now if I go to my edit view, you'll notice I have a whole nother region up here that I can add an image slider to. Continue to scroll down, my page has some language translation. And then I can change which options are available for a left column and for a right column. So I can actually change the layout of my page. So maybe I want to make this a 3-column page. I'll turn on my right column and hit save. And notice now I have an additional column. Very dependent upon how your design was set up, but oftentimes if you have the option of changing the page layout, you'll be able to see it here inside your page parameters. All right. Other things that you cannot change right here. Let's talk about side navigation. Side navigation, usually, generally speaking, is going to be on a section by section basis. So these are all the pages that are being linked to inside my academic section. So because that is a section resource that's shared by all the pages in here, it's going to be inside my section resources. So I need to navigate out to see all of the different folders and files inside this section. And I do that by getting to my pages list view. 2 different ways I can navigate there. Hovering over content, I can go to pages. Or notice in my breadcrumb, the word pages is a link. Either way, clicking on it is going to get me out to my pages list view. And I essentially see my folder structure. I can see I'm currently inside the academics folder. And here's the listing of all the pages that are inside here. There's my library. I can see it's still checked out to me. I could check it back in here, so that way it's available. But notice inside this section, I have this little navigation file. Mine's called side nav. Yours may be called nav.inc or nav.html or nav.php or PCF. All depends upon your design. But for mine, all of my individual options are going to be listed here. So if I needed to make edits or changes, I could make it here in the side navigation file. How about the header and the footer? Well, the header and the footer on my pages are usually global resources. Those are used by not just a section, but by the entire site. So oftentimes those are controlled in a different location. Going to the root of my site, I have a folder called _resources. And in here, I'll find my includes. So mine's organized in different folders. Yours may not. Yours may have lots of options, just a couple options, all depends. But for my header and footer, it's actually broken up into different pieces. So I have this contact file that says, call us today, and gives me the info at email address. If I look at my live site, we take a look at my header. That's these guys. Call us today, and there's the email. I have a logo. There's my logo. So that's this guy up here. I have my top navigation, calendar directory A to Z, calendar directory A to Z. So as you can see from mine, each one of these files controls a different little bit of my header. Sometimes I've seen it like this. More often than not, I usually see a singular file that has all of the header information in it. All depends how your design was set up. All right, talked about that, perfect, marvelous. Let's go back to the root of my site by clicking on the little house. And I'm going to go back inside that academics folder. So we talked about how you'd edit the library page, and that page already existed. But there may be times where you need to create something new. Up at the top, I have this little plus new button. By clicking on that, I'm going to see a listing of all of the individual templates that are available to me at this section. So I can see right here, I have the options for each of the individual column pages. I could do just a regular interior page and make my adjustments based on that. New sections, new blogs, I have a lot of stuff in here. So maybe I'll go ahead and create a 3-column page. Clicking on any of these templates, I'm going to get these form fields. The questions that you'll see here are very dependent upon your design and what information is necessary for each page. But the thing I do want to call out is to keep an eye on the helper text. I promise I am the last person to ever actually read the helper text. My preference is usually throw some content in the field, and when it errors out, then maybe I'll read the helper text. You should be better than me. The helper text that we put here, we've written specifically for your instance, specifically for your design. So it's going to have information in here that'll tell you which fields are optional, which fields are required, which fields need to be here in order for this to happen. So just keep an eye on those, especially as you're getting comfortable inside the system. So my page title is going to be the title of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and just call this Barbara's page. My description here, this is for my search engine, so this is my meta description. My file name here tells me only use lowercase letters, underscores, and dashes. So I'll just call this Barbara's dash page. No apostrophe, no capitals, nice and simple. For my design, I have the option to add navigation item. So remember we were looking at that side navigation. I can have the system automatically add this into my side navigation, so I don't have to edit that file at all. I'm going to leave it set to yes. I think that's awesome. And all the way at the bottom, based upon your user level, my user has the ability to overwrite a file that already exists here. So if there was already a page called Barbara's page, I could overwrite it by creating this one. Bottom right-hand corner, create. And essentially, I just get dropped off at the page. Because I just created it, it will be checked out to me. The system is thinking, well, you made the page, you're probably going to be doing something with it. So I have it all set up here. And just like before, we open up an editable region, we make our edits, insert our images, and then when we're done, we just go ahead and publish it out. Publish. So I want to point something out to you. Inside OU Campus, look at that side navigation. Notice Barbara's page is already there. But when I look at the page on the live site, notice there is no Barbara's page. This is done on purpose. So I've created this new page. I want to publish it out. I want to take a look at it, make sure it's looking good. But I don't want anybody to find it yet. I don't want anyone to be able to link to it yet. I'm still working on it. I still have stuff that I want to make sure looks good on it. So I can do all of the adjustments and changes I want and not have it added to that side navigation yet. When I'm ready for it to be added to the side navigation, back inside OU Campus, back to my pages list view, the only thing I need to do is publish out this side navigation. Look, there's Barbara's page. Now I just need to publish that out. Publish. Perfect. So now back to my Barbara's page. It didn't have it before, but if I do a quick refresh, there it is now. So I can wait until I'm ready for it to be listed on that side navigation. And then when I am ready, publish out the side nav and it'll appear on it. Perfect. Sometimes I may need to create more than just a singular page. Maybe I want a whole subsection inside here. When I hit plus new, you're going to see a bunch of different folder icons here, but I want you to be aware of something. Creating a new folder and creating a new section are different processes. A folder, notice there's like no questions here at all. A folder is just for organizational purposes. This is a place I'm going to put files like images. It's going to be completely blank. There's nothing inside of it. It is just a way for me to stay organized inside OU Campus. This is not a good option if I want to put web pages into it. My web pages require this side navigation file in order for them to work correctly. And depending upon your design, you may have even more of these little helper resource files. So if I'm going to put web pages into a subsection, I want to create an actual section using the section template. Notice a lot more questions is because I'm going to be putting more things into it. I'll go ahead and call this Barbara's section. The page information is going to be for the index page. So this is where I'll land when I first get inside this section. Again, meta description. Again, I have the option of adding it to the navigation. Create. As soon as I create it, I'm going to get dropped off on the index page. This is going to be where I'm landing. If I go back to my pages list view, notice it created not just the index page, but also the side navigation too. It'll create all of those helper files that you need in order to create sections. So if you're going to be building out your own site, use sections, not folders, if you're going to put web pages inside of them. All right, so we created this new section. In order to make it live, I'm going to publish out the entire section, and I'm also going to publish out the side navigation at the same level I created the section. Just that way all my navigation's linked together. So I'll choose all of these guys, publish. And then back out to my academics folder, I'll publish this side navigation. Publish. Perfect. So now back out to a live page. I'm just going to refresh and I'll be able to see my side has updated. There's my section landing page, and here it is linked to it. Perfect. All right. So that's making kind of my basic content here. The last thing that your typical editor will be doing is probably uploading content. So I've created this images folder here. Maybe I'd like to put some images in here, make them available to be able to place on pages. There are a couple of different ways that I can upload images. I can click that upload button and hit the plus add that allows me to browse. So I have this set of sample images. So maybe I'll grab this bridge. I'm going to hold control and grab a second one. Maybe I'll pick up the mountains too and hit open. I'll see the listing of images that I'm about to bring in. They give me the file size as well. Now, depending upon how your administration has set up your site, you may have certain naming conventions that your images have to follow. So it's not a good idea to have spaces or special characters in the names of your pages or the names of your images. Instead, you're going to want to use dashes or underscores or things like that, depending upon the requirements. So if either of these did not adhere to the requirement, they'd be highlighted red. And down here at the bottom, I get a little error message that should describe to me which characters are allowed. If I needed to rename something, I can hover over that row right here and click rename, and it'll allow me to rename it right here. So this is actually a picture of a bridge. I'm going to want to keep the file extension, so that way it knows which type of file it is. But click anywhere else inside this box in order to update that name change, and it's all set. Bottom right-hand corner, we'll start the upload. Perfect. So now I have a couple in here already. I can open up any one of these images, and I can actually do some basic photo editing right here inside OU Campus. So I could crop the picture. So maybe I don't want this giant sunset up at the top. I'm going to get rid of some of it. I'll recrop the size, and then on that side, I'm just going to click Apply Crop, and it'll apply the change. I can rotate the picture. So if your institution has people that actually take pictures with like cameras and stuff, and you have some images that are brought in and they're landscape instead of being portrait or whatever, you can rotate it around so that way it's at the right space. And finally, I can resize it. As long as I leave preserve ratio turned on, it'll maintain that aspect ratio. And I just click resize and I'll shrink it down. Bottom right-hand corner, 3 different options. I can click cancel. That'll essentially get rid of all the changes that I've made, leave the image as it was. Save as will allow me to save this image as a new name. So I'll keep the original image. And then save writes over the original image. So I'm going to click save as. And up at the top, I'm just going to rename it mountains-small. Save. Perfect. So now back to my list view. I have my original mountains and I have mountains small. Now, I've uploaded these images inside OU Campus, but I need to publish them out in order to make them available for me to place them on my live pages. So I'm just going to take all of these guys and click publish to make them available for my live site. So that's one way I can upload. I can also do some dragging and dropping. So from this upload screen right here, let's grab my folder structure again. I can just grab one of my images and drag it over. Notice I get that green highlighting. I can just drop it in there. I could also just drag it straight here onto my list view. Notice again around the outside of my page, as long as I'm inside that list, it gives me that green highlighting. I can drop it like that too. Again, I'm going to want to publish these guys out to make them available for me to place on a page. Perfect. All right, so this is excellent. This is a really good way to be able to upload images, publish them out, make them available. But let's be realistic. This is not the moment that I'm going to realize I don't have the image that I need. I'm going to be looking at a page. I'm going to be editing it. I'm going to be inside the insert/edit image and browsing through. And then let's go to that folder that we just created. It's inside academics. There's my images folder. And this is the moment that I'm going to realize the image I need is not here. That is okay. I have the ability to upload right here. So let's go ahead and grab one more picture. Maybe I'll grab my windmills. It'll get added directly into that folder that I'm currently looking at, and I'll be able to see it here. Insert. My description is required. Perfect. So here's my windmills image. I'm also going to add in one of the images we already put in. So back to academics, back to images. Maybe I'll grab that small mountains picture that we created. Perfect. So now inside the editable region, they both look really nice. I can see them. I have like the background information, so I can kind of see where it's placed on the page. It's looking good. But watch what happens when I save and exit. My windmills picture looks broken. Here's why. The view that I'm seeing right now is the most realistic representation of what this page will look like on my live site. Because the windmills picture was just uploaded into OU Campus and it has not yet been published, my live site has no access to it. So this is what it would look like if I just published it without having the image there. But it's okay. Inside OU Campus, it's going to catch it. When I hit publish, I have an additional field here called publish options. And it's going to tell me that there are unpublished dependencies on this page. It has looked at the page, assessed it, and realized you have things on here, images, links, anything like that, that's linking to something that lives inside OU Campus and hasn't been published out yet. We know it's the windmills picture, we just put it in. But if you should see this and you're not sure what it's talking about, there's a little view files button down here. It'll give me a listing of all of those unpublished dependencies. There's my windmills picture. By having this box checked, it is going to also publish the windmills picture. So it'll publish this page and the picture, so when it gets to my live production server, it's going to look good. Perfect. Bottom right-hand corner, publish. So now when I see it in a new window, there's my windmills picture, published out alongside. Back in OU Campus, a quick refresh will allow it to go looking for that picture on my production server and find it. So I see it rendered here too. Perfect. Let's see, what else do we have on this? Page checked out to me. Under properties, just a couple of additional nice things to have. I have some reminders that I can set on individual pages. So if I'm responsible for this page and I need to remember to come back at a specific date and a specific time to make changes, I can set a reminder for myself. This is super helpful if there are certain pages that you're responsible for editing maybe once every 6 months or once every year, and like every year you just barely remember to do it. I can schedule a reminder to remind me next September. Today's the 14th. Maybe we'll do the 13th, since that's a Friday. I don't need midnight, that's probably not necessary. But how about at 2 p.m.? And I can send a message directly to myself. I can send a copy to my external email address. So I don't need to live inside OU Campus in order to get this message. As long as my user profile has an email address associated with it, the system can email me. And in addition to being able to send it to myself, from this dropdown, if I'm a part of any groups, I can send the message to the whole group. So if there is a marketing page that needs to get updated, it doesn't matter who jumps in and does it, it just needs to get done. I can send it to the whole group. And then we're all gonna get that message. Whoever can get to it first can get that update done. So that is a scheduled reminder. I could also set a stale reminder. A stale reminder is gonna keep an eye on the page and just let me know if it has been a certain amount of time and it hasn't been updated. So let's say we have a policy that pages need to be refreshed and updated at least every 2 weeks. So I'm going to say after 14 days, the page is going to be considered stale. So I just published it today. It's going to start counting from today, and it'll start counting forward. And if it hits 14 days, it'll send me out the message that I construct. If at some point next week I republish this page, the last published date will update, and it starts counting again from 0. So it's a nice way to be able to make sure that I'm getting reminders and keeping on top of my content. Other thing I have in here is a log. The log is going to give me a history of what's happened on the page. So created from TCF. TCF is a template control file. That means I created this page from template. It's new. I can see I published it. I made a save inside that Wysiwyg Editor, and I published it again. So I can keep an eye on who's been making changes to individual pages just by looking at the log here. Perfect. Access has to do with who's able to get into this page and make edits to it. This is usually controlled by your administrators. So this will probably be set up for your lower level users before they even get inside OU Campus. All right, the last button we haven't talked about when we're talking about editing is source. Source code access can be granted on a person-by-person basis. So if there are certain people that should have access to source code and certain people who should not, you don't have to give it to people. You can just have it available to certain individuals. Taking a look at the code here, if you are familiar with HTML, you're going to notice this looks a little bit weird. It's not really HTML in here. This is actually an XML file. And then our system uses XSL to transform the information I'm putting in here into my final page. So in here, the only content that I can really edit is the stuff that's inside those editable regions. So I'm going to see these nodes called OUC div, and they're going to be paired with OUC editor. This is that editor that we opened up. This is the editable region. This is where I would place things and make edits to them. So I could go ahead and put maybe right inside here, save, and I can add content directly into that editable region. So that completely has to do with preference. You may have some people who prefer to do edits inside source code. You may have some people who will be happy never to look at source code again. Both preferences are available here inside OU Campus. All right. So that essentially wraps up all of the things that I wanted to talk with you guys about today. I hope you've gotten a good basic overview of how the editing experience works inside OU Campus. If you guys have any additional questions, feel free to post them into the Q&A chat, and I'll be able to answer those as we go. As we're allowing everybody to kind of type as they may need, I just want to let you know our next monthly orientation training is going to be scheduled for Friday, October 12th. Again, it'll be 10 a.m. to approximately noon Pacific time. So if there's anyone else at your institution who may want a little bit of either a brush up or new introduction to OU Campus, or if you just had such a wonderful time, you want to come back again, feel free to come back. Perfect. Our PowerPoint slides as well as the recording will be available on our support site. So I'll be able to post those for you. So at this point, I'll hang out for just a little bit longer so that way you can post any questions you might have. If you are all finished with today, I want to wish you a great rest of the day and enjoy the weekend. All right, so it looks like we have a question, creating overlay pages on an already existing page. I think that's going to be one that I'm going to have to address individually. So I will send you a separate email so we can take a look at it together. I did not forget the question about the accordion. So for the individual who asked it, I will reach out to you individually and we'll talk about that and see what's going on with your accordion in the sandbox too. So I have a question about how to make an image gallery smaller. The answer to that question is it depends upon your design. Depending upon how your galleries are being treated, you may have the ability to make adjustments to your gallery size. Image galleries are part of assets. So opening up my insert asset, this little photos listing icon, that's going to be my image galleries. So you'll notice in my sandbox when I insert it, it's a thumbnail gallery. So that's the display that it has over here. If I put it, say, into a side content region, I'll be able to see it listed over there. So for my sandbox, the region that I'm putting it in will dictate what type of gallery it is. If I place the gallery inside the image slider region, refresh. Now it's the slider, but on my design, the size is locked. So this is based upon the design of the gallery itself. I have seen some situations where some schools were able to put the gallery inside a different region, and because the region itself was smaller, the gallery displayed smaller. I've seen some schools who've been able to create a container div and then put the gallery inside the container div, but it is super dependent upon how your galleries are designed and how your design is using them. So that may be another question that I can reach out to you directly for. All right, thank you all for showing up today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.